Hello Southies, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new speed build where I am building a castle. Yes, a beautiful, glorious castle set in the beautiful world of Granite Falls that comes with the outdoor retreat game pack. Now, it is on a 50 by 50 lot, so if you want to put this castle anywhere else or any other world, if you don't have outdoor retreat, I think it would fit somewhere in Windenburg. Base game, it would fit in Willow Creek. I think there's a 50 by 50 in Newcrest, although I don't think it would look good there. Probably Willow Creek, it would look good. Let's see, Windenburg, it would look good. There's a 50 by 50 there. And then a 64 by 64 in Windenburg as well, on Windenburg Island, and it would look really great there. So there are a few other worlds that you could plop this build in if you don't have outdoor retreat that it will look good in. So in this video is going to be all of the exterior, and then in the second part will be all of the interior. So look forward to that. This build it will have 4 bedrooms, a wedding area, so a 2-level wedding area with the actual wedding downstairs and reception area upstairs, a library, a sort of sitting room, and then in the basement level there's a restaurant, a pool, and some spa areas. So obviously I did not limit myself when it comes to this pack. I used everything. And at first I wanted this build to be completely off the grid, but I decided that I wanted it to kind of be a place that, yes, it was built hundreds of years ago, but in recent decades it has gone from a livable castle to a museum. So this build is set up to be a museum, a restaurant, a national park, and a rental. So you can actually set it up to rent it out. I don't know how much it will be to rent. It will definitely be expensive, but if you've got it like that in your sim life, you can rent this space out. All of the bedrooms, which you'll see in the next video, are set up more for adults and children, but in the basement level there will be a space where I will have like toddler stuff. So if you want to drag your toddler or your pets here, then there'll be a space down in the basement where you can pull those items up to the bedrooms. But yeah, I set out to do this build because I see so many amazingly talented simmers over on Twitter and on YouTube posting their beautiful palaces and castles, and I wanted to do it too. I wanted to jump on that bandwagon and make a beautiful castle as well. The largest build on my channel that I have so far is my Realm of Magic build that I made for the Realm of Magic, I call it the Magical Collective, and it's supposed to be a space where you practice your magic and all that stuff. And that took me a long time to build, but I feel like I built that in one setting. This build took at least, I want to say at least 8-9 hours, and that's split up over a couple of days. So I started it over on Twitch, and then I did some work off camera, off Twitch, on camera, but off Twitch. And then I finished the interior on Twitch, and I think that also took me about 3 hours. So yeah, it was a pretty big build. And if you saw me started on Twitch, you know that I was a bit overwhelmed. It's kind of, doing big builds is kind of overwhelming for me. They just scare me a lot because I don't know, I want to do all of this stuff, and there's only so much that you can do in The Sims. Like, you can get pretty darn creative in The Sims, but at the same time you can kind of find yourself sort of limited, and unless you have the brain to kind of think of little hacks and little tricks you can get stuck very easy, and that's kind of what I was afraid of. So I did kind of watch some other simmers and their castle builds to kind of get not inspiration, but motivation to kind of do this. I'm definitely not as creative as a lot of them, as the Kate Emeralds and the Simproves of the world, who are just amazing, fantastical builders, and hopefully I'll get to that level one day. I will be sure to link down in the description some of my favorite castle builds that I've kind of binged while I was doing this as well. I watched a few different castle and palace builds, and I'm thinking that I do want to create a few more castles. I was thinking there are a lot of huge lots in The Sims 4 that just beg to be castles or palaces, and it would be a way for me to, like I said, sort of stretch my creativity and try something new, something different, not just a regular old suburban build, suburban house build, which I love. They're my bread and butter, and I love making houses in The Sims. But I want to do something, more fun like this. So as you can see, the front of the build has come together. I put in a courtyard, and I'm just kind of in my head thinking of, ooh, what could I put here, and sort of adding to it. I do have not a reference photo because it doesn't look anything like the builds, but I would say it's more of an inspiration photo just to see, like, oh yeah, I could do that, or I could do this, or, I think some castles, you Google castles, and there'll be these wildly insane looking buildings, and they're real. They're not concept art. They're real. And you're like, who thought to do this, to make this? And then how did they convince people to help them? Because, oh my gosh, like, unless they were like, I don't know, just paying them in straight up gold. I don't know. It's crazy, some of these castles that you see on Pinterest and on Google. They're insane. But yeah, so the building is coming together. This is pretty much going to be the shape of it. And then I just start to add on. And the idea was that every piece of material used in this build were locally sourced, as in real life. They use stones from the mountain, rock faces. You'll see later on that the floors, except for the bottom levels, all the floors are made of wood. So I imagine they use the trees. Same with that. And kind of the story behind this castle, I don't think I said the name of it. This is Gwendolyn Castle. I went over on Twitter and I asked you guys, I put down a couple of options and I asked you guys to help me choose through a poll, and Gwendolyn Castle won. And the idea behind Gwendolyn Castle is that a duke or lord or somebody decided to make his bride a castle, to build her a castle. And this is the result. And it probably took a couple of decades to put it together, but they finally were able to put it together. And I imagine that they lived here with their family, and then it's been in the family for generation after generation after generation. And the last person who owns this place decided to make it a space that was available to the public. So like I said, I have it set as a museum. You can set it as a rental place, and then in the basement there is a restaurant, which I imagine used to be maybe place where they held prisoners who didn't pay, or armory and stuff like that, and they dug it out. There's also a pool down there, but those are things you'll see in the second video. But yeah, so that's the story behind Gwendolyn Castle, and I would say that it's probably never stood empty, that someone has always been able to maintain it and always been able to keep it up. That's why it looks so pristine and looks like such a put together building, and it's not, falling apart or rotting away, because someone is always taking care of it. So yeah, some housekeeping stuff. I am planning on doing a Christmas type build. I, along with a few other simmers, are doing a collab. If you are a part of the, I think it's called YouTubers and Streamers, Sim4 YouTubers and Streamers group over on Facebook, we are doing a sort of collab where we're making Christmas themed builds, and I will be putting that out. I think we're supposed to release them on the 21st, so I still have some time to come up with a fun idea, and I think I have one, so I'm excited to do that. I did a Christmas build last Christmas, but it was like a family home, and I just sort of threw up a bunch of Christmas decorations on it. This time I want to be a little bit more unique and do something a little different, so I'm looking forward to that. Let's see, anything else as far as housekeeping? Just building and streaming. Like I said before, I did this over on stream, and then I also furnished it on stream as well. So I stream on Wednesdays and Fridays, so usually Wednesdays and Friday nights. So if you're bored one night and you want to come watch me, you can definitely follow me on Twitter, and that will show you when I stream. I think I'm going to change up my Friday schedule because I don't really get a lot of views on Fridays. I get way more views on Wednesday nights than I do Friday, so I might push the time up a little bit because I don't really do anything on Fridays. I don't work on Fridays, so I could pretty much stream anytime during the day. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. I love engaging with people, especially when I'm building. I'm pretty quiet when I build. It's kind of a relaxing time. That's why I don't always build things on stream, but it is a lot more fun when you have people there. But yeah, the castle, as you can see, is coming together, and kind of my design idea, or the big design idea I had about this space was I wanted you to be able, if you were to walk through the front, I wanted you to be able to walk all around the building and come back to the spot. So I wanted it to be, everything is connected, which, that's castle. That's nothing new. So your Sims, and you might have to go up a level or down a level to get to the next part, but I wanted you to be able to just sort of walk all the way around the building, not just even in the courtyard. Like, I wanted you to be able to do it from each level as well. So when you're on the second level, you can walk all the way around, and when you're on the third level, you can walk all the way around, and when you're in the basement, you can walk all the way around and get back to the starting point. So yeah, I did player test this. I had in mind to make this completely off the grid, and then I decided to change that. So there's a fireplace in every room. Majority of the lights are off the grid. All of the plumbing in the build are off the grid. So if you do decide to play with this off the grid, you can. I put like real instruments, so you could, play instruments off the grid as well. So yeah, that little piece that's sticking out. So if you look at Granite Falls, there is a mountain with a waterfall. And so I wanted there to be kind of a point where you could sort of like a lookout, right? So you could stand on that little bridge, that half bridge thing, and look out and see the waterfall. Another kind of design, idea that I had was I wanted you to be able to stand in a room and be able to look out the window, and you could look towards the forest and then look back into sort of the courtyard area. So most of the rooms have windows on almost every wall, unless it's like looking into a hallway. The wall has a window on it. So this little thing here, this is a fountain. I kind of want to see if I can put in a fishing little thing from the debug menu and have your Sims fish there. So I might player test that before I put it on the gallery. I really try to use terrain tools. This did not, I mean, you can see me doing it. But I'm going to end up getting some debug rocks from Outdoor Retreat and putting that in place of that. I am horrible with terrain tools. Absolutely horrible. So yeah, don't get excited about some. So here's me. Like I said, I wanted each part of the build to be connected. So here I'm putting in a little walk breezeway bridge thing right there. That's, I don't know. There's some little things that I did that I'm just like, oh, I'm so creative. I'm just the best. I'm the greatest builder. I was, really patting myself on the back with some of these. And so and here I'm creating a balcony. At some point in the courtyard, instead of that being a roof, I'm going to turn that into a walkway. So your Sims can just walk all around the top and look down in the courtyard. So I'm not sure when I do it. I feel like here shortly I'm going to do it. Here is the balcony because I knew this little area right here, that's going to be a honeymoon suite. Like I said, there's a wedding venue here, and so that will be the honeymoon suite. And there are a couple of other bedrooms throughout. So again, another balcony so that you can stand. This balcony kind of sits in between two different rooms, and more of a transitional room, and then I think a sleeping, like a bedroom as well. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this build. I really did. I didn't think that I would. I when I first started it, I was so stressed and I wanted to give up. But once I kind of got in the swing of things, it really came together. I would say if you're someone who really wants to get good at building, just keep practicing. Don't give up. Look at reference photos. Look at inspiration photos. Look at other people and other people's builds, especially tutorials. I'll be honest, I don't utilize all the advice in tutorials because sometimes they seem super complicated. But some stuff I do utilize, and for the most part, I just try to, when I was first building, I took like reference photos and did my best to try to recreate it. I will say, since doing this build, I've gotten a little bit of builder's block. I feel like this castle has kind of sucked all the creativity out of me. So I'm going to take a break from building before I work on that Christmas build so I can get those juices flowing, because I've tried to build a couple of things in between this build, and man, I'm struggling. I'm like, goodness gracious, I built a castle. Why can't I build a simple suburban home? But yeah, I would say just reference photos. I see people on Twitter ask, how do you build? How do you build? Use a reference photo, just a simple design. Kind of like one of my favorite creators is Dr. Ashley. She has that List It series where she takes a photo, a reference photo from Pinterest or Google or somewhere, and she tries to recreate it. That's probably the easiest way to learn how to build. And obviously there'll be elements where it's not going to look like the photo. And if you can just sort of resign in your mind that it's not going to look exactly like the photo, but that you could definitely capture the essence of the photo, then you'll be fine. So that's my advice for anybody who wants to get better at building. Just take a reference photo and try to recreate it. And then sooner or later, you'll use reference photos less and less, or you'll use photos as more inspiration rather than trying to completely replicate an entire building. You'll just use it as like, oh, I'll take an element from this photo, an element for that photo, and I'll try to design it. So that's my advice. But I am coming towards the end of the build. Oh my gosh. Okay, so real quick. Now you can see I cut out a lot of stuff, so you can sort of see how the rooms are mapped a little bit. Sorry, I'm there's so much going on. I'm trying not to leave anything out. A lot of landscaping. I put some ivy up on the walls. I'm going to change this tree in the middle. I loved that tree, but there's a debug tree that has lanterns and things on it, hanging on it. It's not the one from Movie Pack. It's an Outdoor Retreat tree. And when I found it, I was like, I want this tree. It's huge, though, so I had to make it really small. I love the red tree, though. I thought that was so cool to have this beautiful red tree in the center of this courtyard. But I love the other tree. I was like, oh, I can't pass this up. So I don't know. When I put it on the gallery, I might put the red tree back. I'm not sure. You'll see me drop it here in a moment, and you can tell me in the comments which you think is better. Here, like I said, can also function as a national park, so I went ahead and I put all the pieces that it needs to be a national park as well. So I put that. There are picnic tables and grills on the exterior everywhere. But remember, there's like a fully functional kitchen and all of that stuff that you can utilize too. So stay tuned for part 2. Hopefully I'll put it out next week. Early next week, so that you can see all the beautiful interiors. I'm really excited to get to show you guys that. But yeah, I am coming up on the end of the builds. If you enjoyed it, please let me know by way of pressing the like button. Comment down below your thoughts on the build thus far. I would love to hear them. And if you haven't already and you want to see more content from me, please subscribe. I try to post every week, and I would love to have you be a part of the Southie family. As always, my name is Ceci, and I promise never to break your game. Bye.